Thank you all so much for being here. We really appreciate you taking the time. I'm Taylor. If anyone doesn't know yet, I'm Director of Marketing at the Windjammer Way, and we're really excited to walk you through today a bit of what we're building and why right now is a really great time to join and be part of it. I'm joined today by our president, Zach Luttrell, who will be presenting, our CEO, Charles Kropke, and from our capital partners at Vicinity, we have Josh Rollins as well. So we'll start today with a 15-minute presentation from Zach that will outline our market, our growth plan, where we're headed, and the opportunity that we're presenting. And then after that, we'll open the floor for a Q&A with the full team. You can ask any of us anything you like. So thanks again for taking the time to be here, and let's get started.
All right. Well, thank you, everybody. My name is Zach Luttrell. I'm the president of the Windjammer Way. And you can buy time. You cannot buy time, but you can invest in a timeless legacy. I love that quote, even though I didn't say it correctly at first. But most of you on the call are familiar with our company. But for those of you who aren't, the Windjammer Way is reimagining sailing schooner cruising in the Caribbean. We've purchased the Mandalay, which is a 236-foot three-masted schooner. It's one of two remaining vessels from the original Windjammer Barefoot Cruises fleet. And again, I'm sure many of you know, but Windjammer Barefoot Cruises operated in the Caribbean successfully for over 65 years. They really invented and pioneered sailing schooner cruising. And by owning the Mandalay, it gives us an opportunity to really take the positive equity that they left behind when they went out of business in 2007. There were tons of existing customers who are still very vested in the ships and their experiences. And so, our goal is to restore the ship and to restore that culture and legacy that's been missing ever since they closed their doors. So why now? Well, quite simply, people love to cruise. The global cruise market is absolutely booming right now. It saw revenues of 74 billion in 2024. It's trending to 78 billion by the end of this year, and they're projected to hit 203 billion dollars in revenue by 2035. That's almost a 10% compounded annual growth rate, which is outstanding. So people love to cruise. The larger ships, though, are really maxing out. We see them now. The largest ones are anywhere from 5,000 to 6,000 passengers. There are future plans for development of this size ship that are going to be anywhere from 8,000 to 9,000 passengers. So just massive scale here. And we see what they're doing. They're adding things like roller coasters and zip lines and climbing walls and surfing simulators, and all those things are good. And obviously, there's a significant market for it, but to be honest with you, those experiences aren't for me personally. I've been on several cruises. I actually have a Carolina Panthers cruise coming up in February. If there are any Riot members out there, you better be registered. But from my experience on those, I felt like there were tons of long lines, like going in and out of the ship. It was almost like herding cattle. They felt very overcrowded to me. I remember specifically on one of my cruises, my three friends and I were trying to find four seats together on the pool deck, and we weren't able to do that. And then I also remember the same cruise about 6 weeks in advance, logging on to my online portal, only to find that the coolest excursions were all booked. The nightly entertainment on the ship, all the tickets were gone, and I even tried to upgrade a few of my dining experiences, and I had to get either the 5:30 reservation or the 9 p.m. reservation. Everything was already gone. I was too late, even though it was 6 weeks before the departure of our cruise. So from my experience, for me personally, that just didn't feel very relaxing. It didn't feel much like a vacation. It felt almost like I was taking my kids to Disney World, where I had to have very strategic plans in order to be able to maximize my opportunities. And what we've learned from that too is that I'm not alone. We know that since 2015, experiential travel is growing at a 3 times rate than all other tourism. We also know that younger generations are looking for more intimate and authentic experiences over going on these big ships or going to all inclusive destinations. They're looking for a more real connection to what they're experiencing and what they're doing. And we've also learned that purposeful travel is the number one motivator right now when people are booking their travel. And what we mean by purposeful is it can be things like health and wellness retreats or travel to celebrate some of their hobbies, right? Like photography or scuba diving or birding, things like that. And that's one of the benefits of the Windjammer Way is that we can actually create these type of custom experiences for these interest groups as well. So we believe that the future of travel is small. We believe that it's soulful and story driven. So our niche is in the 3%. 3% is the current boutique market share of the whole global cruise industry right now. 3% represents over a $2 billion in an addressable market, $2.2 billion in 2024. So what does that mean for us? In our financial projections for our company, we are estimating that we are going to take 4% of that boutique cruise market, 4% of the existing 3%. That's all we're looking for right out of the gate. And if we did that in 2024, that would have yielded an $88.8 million revenue opportunity, almost $100 million in 2025. So what we're calculating here, what we're basing our investments, what we're basing our whole financial projection on is capturing only 4% of a market that Windjammer Barefoot Cruises invented and dominated. We're absolutely going to be able to go out and get 4%, no doubt. So let me tell you how exactly we're going to get there. Like I said, we're built on a legacy. We're able to pull all that positive equity and that hole in the culture of this type of cruising that doesn't exist and hasn't been able to be replicated. By owning the ship, it gives us the validation of that as well. Um, we have already employed 3 of the original crew members from the ship. Those guys are some of them are fan favorites too that I know a lot of you know and will be excited to see, and they'll be excited to see you all again. And we can also pull from this existing community who of former guests who have on their own stayed in touch through social media. They've created groups on Facebook and they interact almost daily, sharing photos of their experiences and staying connected on there and really waiting with bated breath at the opportunity to not only sail again, but to continue to pass this legacy and these experience and this culture down to their kids and to their kids' kids. So we're very excited to be able to do all of that. And we believe that we have the right team in place to do it. Charles, who's on the call, our CEO, he owns a company called Dragonfly Expeditions. It's the largest expeditionary tour company in South Florida. They've been in business for over 35 years. They've got a large book of business of Fortune 500 customers that he's curated tours for along the way, all throughout the Florida Everglades, the Keys, even into the Bahamas. I myself, I've been in the travel tour, sports tour sector for over 25 years, and I specialize in taking fans to NFL games domestically in the United States and even internationally now. We've got Taylor, who you guys met earlier. And Taylor is our director of marketing, and she's got experience with multiple companies that are startups that where she's had the opportunity to come in and create marketing plans and strategies, from their infancy. And as I mentioned, the existing crew members who are already with us, we've got Captain Julian Peterson. Again, I know a lot of you know these people, but Julian was with Windjammer Barefoot Cruises for over 20 years. He started as a deckhand, ended up being the captain of the Yankee Clipper. He's obviously very well respected in the Caribbean, and he's going to do a great job leading the Mandalay. Boston, everybody knows Boston. We were down in Trinidad recently talking with Boston, and revealed that he's been with the ship since the 70s, which is just incredible. Mashup, everybody loves Mashup. Mashup knows all the guests' name by midweek, knows their favorite drinks, makes you a rum swizzle. He actually dubs as the late night DJ each night. So as the dance party's going on till 2 or 3 in the morning, he's the one back there, picking your favorite tunes. But I think it's great to say too. Again, a lot of you know the story. For those of you who don't, when the ship was abandoned in St. George's, Grenada, Boston and Massup stayed with the ship the entire time. So the over 2+ years where the ship just was laid anchor there, rotting in the sun, they stayed on, protected it from pirates, kept it safe, but ultimately held on to the dream that one day the ship would come back and sail again. So these guys are ecstatic. They're in Trinidad with the ship right now. They've played a big role in demoing the ship and pulling out some of the materials that we're not going to use. And, they're there now kind of serving as project managers and being our eyes and ears as we're starting to build her back up. So what we're estimating and what we've done our financial calculations on are 308 total sailing days per year. We believe that we'll have an average of $5,300 for a double occupancy cabin. And we'll know a little bit more as we're reconfiguring the ship, but we're estimating anywhere between 60 and 66 passengers plus the 30 crew member. And currently we'll have four revenue streams that we're projecting. The first one includes ticket sales and charters. We believe that charters and affinity cruises will be about 35% of our business. The second revenue stream will be onboard sales. This could be things like excursions, the bar, Wi-Fi. Even though we won't encourage it, we will have it available because we know some people need to stay connected. So Starlink will be available on the ship. The third revenue stream is Chess, which is our online and onboard store where we'll curate really fun merch items and different memorabilia items that people can take with them to remember their experiences on all the different cruises. And excuse me, the fourth revenue stream is something new that we'll be launching and we'll give you a little more detail about, but we're going to be launching a membership program. And that'll be an opportunity for people to go a little bit deeper with us, where we'll build in some really cool rewards and some perks that they'll be able to participate in by being a member. So a little bit more on that. This is still a little high level. We're still in the development of it, but our thoughts are we'll have two different levels. I'll give everybody an opportunity to participate. And with those levels, there'll be invitations to exclusive events. We'll have an annual merchandise package that'll go out each year that you renew your membership. That'll include a bunch of fun Windjammer Way things. Discounts on trips. We'll give you early access to trips as well, because one thing we've learned in talking to a lot of former passengers is the ability to secure their particular room is very important to them. So, our thoughts are we'll give our members visibility to those trips before they go live on our website, so they have the opportunity to purchase them and secure their spot before the general public can. So this is not only just a cool, fun opportunity. I mean, it is that, but this is also a high impact asset-backed investment opportunity, which I think is very important. So, not only if you come and decide to be an investor with us, you're not only banking on the fact that we're going to have a successful operation business, we also have a restored ship, multiple ships that have a high value as well. So we're currently raising $9 million. We have a $16 million pre-money evaluation, and we have a scale of 9 to 11% preferred returns based on whatever level the investment is. And here's how we're going to use those funds. We're going to completely restore the Mandalay. She was converted by Windjammer Barefoot Cruises 40 years ago, and since then the upkeep hasn't been up to par. So we decided once we got in and really peeled back all the different layers that she needed a completely and total overhaul and really to be rebuilt from the ground up. And that's one thing that, Charles and myself, that our commitment to not only our investors, but all of our guests is the ships will always come first. We will never let her get in the situation that she is in now. The ships will always come first. So full restoration of the ship. We're going to build out our website and our reservation system, our online store. We're going to continue to hire the human resources that we need to start the process, the customer service, our sales, our marketing people, and then the acquisition of a second ship. So currently, there are a few ships on our horizon. Obviously, we own the Mandalay. Many of you know the Polynesia. Well, about 4 months ago or so, Charles was in Aveiro, Portugal, where I think you all know the Polynesia is, and met with the owners there. And there's a realistic opportunity that she's obtainable. You also know that she's in pretty rough shape over there as well. So we'll know more in about 3 months or so, but we'll really evaluate the opportunity to acquire that ship and the value of its legacy versus what we anticipate its restoration costs will be. But I think the opportunity to add her, the second of the two ships that are remaining, to our fleet would just be an astronomical opportunity if it makes sense. Another ship that we're looking at is the SV Druzhba, and it's one of the four Russian national fleet. Two of those ships still remain in Russia. One of them is Poland. The Druzhba is in Odessa, Ukraine, where it's been for 22 years. We've also been in contact with the owners there and are starting the process to see about its availability. But she's gorgeous. She's 365 feet, just a massive ship with plenty of amazing opportunity and potential to convert into a sailing vessel. And we think it's important for you all to know, going back to the fact that I said the ships will always come first. One thing that the previous companies didn't have that we are going to have, the ships are going to be 100% SOLAS compliant, and that's safety of life at sea, which is the highest standard for all sailing vessels and maritime ships. We're going to also make sure they're fully compliant and fully insured. The ships will always come first, as I said. There's going to be no cutting corners with what we're doing. And here you'll see just a little snapshot just to kind of give you an idea of how the preferred returns could potentially work. This shows a $100,000 investment. The preferred returns at this level at 100,000 come in at 10%, and those are deferred over the first 2 years while we're getting the operations and getting the business and getting the second ship into water. Year three, the distributions start paying out. In this simulation, we show year five, a buyout that could either come from the sale of the company or recapitalization of the shares. And then this is actually one of my favorite parts, and I think it speaks to a lot of our crowdfunding people and the opportunity there. We have several different layers of perks that we've built in, depending on what level of investment you come in. But one thing that I think is very important to say is no matter which level, captain, deckhand, it doesn't matter. The opportunity to have your name on the ship in some capacity is built into all those levels. And why I think that's important is because a lot of you on this call, the legacy of the ship, your experiences has been so meaningful to you. So I feel like the opportunity for you to invest, not only to own a piece of our business, but to now put your legacy onto a ship that means so much to you that'll live indefinitely. And it could be, we haven't narrowed down exactly what that's going to look like. Some of the ideas are potentially a wall, a section down in the lower deck where the rooms are to kind of, memorialize or memorize the all the people that were involved in this restoration and the creation of our business. I think for me, the way that, my frame of reference and what I compare it to, I have a sports background. So when the Carolina Panthers came to Charlotte, um, they gave all the fans the opportunity to buy a brick as they're building the stadium. And I was 19 years old at the time. I didn't have a lot of disposable income, so I couldn't participate. That stadium 30 years later is still standing, and not a year goes by where I'm not walking in with a friend where they don't take me over to show me the brick that their family has or that their name has. And I definitely have a lot of FOMO. I saw an interesting quote actually last week that said FOMO is a mofo. Well, I have a lot of FOMO that my name is not on that stadium. So I'll just leave you with this thought. The opportunity to own a cruise line doesn't happen very often. The opportunity to own a cruise line whose previous brand has over 65 years of proven success, who left behind tens of thousands of customers waiting at the opportunity to book their cruise with us, that doesn't come around ever. So join us at Sail with Us because FOMO is a mofo. Thanks, guys. We'll start the Q&A now too.
Thanks, Zach. All right, everyone, if you want, you can write your questions in the chat, or you can also, there's a little Q&A bar, either way works. And feel free to ask any of us questions. While we wait for some questions, Charles, do you want to give a couple sentences about anything that you want to say to add on here? Oh, wait, you're muted. Let me unmute you. Or ask you to unmute. You probably have to unmute
Okay, I
yourself.
did it. Yeah. So, I
Good.
mean, we're excited. There's something happening every day. I was down there when we took the mast down big operation. Those masts are much more, they're very intimidating when they're up in the sky, and we had to bring in a special crane. So in the weeks coming up, it's lifting the giant 1945 General Motors engine out of the ship in preparation for the changeover and the power in the main engine room. And then the descaling process. And I believe this today, the Mandalay is moving again within the shipyard. So a lot of action down there, a lot of action in the field. We'll have an announcement very soon of a new person in our sales department. We're very excited about. So there's always something going on, and we're happy to be here with you guys today.
All right, thanks, Charles. We got some questions. Colette asked, and this is for you, Zach, 7-day cruises or possible 14-day journeys?
Yes, to both. Absolutely. And
Mhm.
that's kind of what I was trying to hit on when I was talking about the opportunity to build in hobbies and just really be creative. The Mandalay will originate in the port at St. George's in Grenada, but we have so much flexibility to do anything that we want to do. One example that we were kind of workshopping the other day was really keying into special events and festivals, particularly that could be happening in the Caribbean. Carnival in Trinidad came to mind, where Trinidad may not be a regular stop for the ship, but the opportunity to create a special itinerary to go visit to Port of Spain and be able to create land-based experiences in conjunction with the sailing and the time on the ship as well. So yes, 7-day, 14 days. We'll be very creative and very fun with all the different offerings that we're going to build in and not just locked into one set itinerary ever.
Definitely. All right, Frank asked, when do you expect renovations to be completed?
Yeah, with that, yeah.
Charles or
So
Zach?
yeah, so we're anticipating another 15 or 18 months. We're I think close to 2 months in. I keep losing track of time, but yeah, it's been about 2 months now. The demolition phase has taken a little bit longer than we expected, just because the amount of concrete that we're discovering in there. Even the original project manager, Mike Burke Jr., was surprised at the amount and didn't remember the level of concrete that was used. So the bad news is that part's taken us a few more weeks than we were expecting. The good news is by removing all of that concrete, the ship is going to sit so much lighter in the water, and it's going to be a more efficient, just a more pleasant sailing experience that she'll be positioned more correctly in the water going forward. So yeah, good news. Good news. We're getting rid of all that, but yeah, it's about 15 or 18 more months for the total completion. But we're hoping here in the next 60 days or so, we'll have a pretty firm in water date. And once we feel pretty confident, we'll be close to opening up reservations and making the announcement of when that is.
Exactly. And we're hoping that this full, complete restoration without cutting any corners allows her to sail with only minor um, repairs for decades. So,
Absolutely.
next question for you again, Zach, is from Erica. Can you explain the membership offered as a perk and what this may include? So, I'm just going to help out also by sharing this slide again, where we go over a top level of some of the perks.
Yeah, I mean, this concept really was based around, what I've done with my community here with the Roaring Riot. When I started doing that in 2008, all the way through 2014, I guess, people started thinking of what I was trying to put together more as like a travel agent. But my goal was always to build a community. So by launching our membership program with the Roaring Riot, we allowed people to just become more vested in what we were doing with our events. It allowed them to identify with some of the things that we were doing more closely and really start representing themselves, as a member, as someone who belongs, to that organization. So that's kind of our thought process here. But obviously, Windjammer Barefoot Cruises, whether it was something they did officially, which I'm not fully aware, or unofficially, there was the former passengers called themselves and referred to themselves as the Old Salt. So one of the things we saw that they were very very proud of their experiences, the number of cruises they had, the destinations they went to, which crew members they were able to interact with. So, our vision is to allow people to become members each year annually, we'll send them a new membership package that'll have some really fun items in it. There'll be things in there where if you create a profile and you're a member, we will essentially track the information, which cruises you went on, where you went, and build almost like a virtual trophy case, even with some rankings and leaderboard type things, so people can accurately remember everything they went, who was on it, build like that connectivity and build that community there. Since it kind of unofficially existed before, our membership program is going to help us make that official and do it digitally, and it'll live forever, and people can see that and always talk about that and compare. But other things, again, it's still high level. And actually, if a lot of you who may be old salts, if you have any suggestions, please feel free to get in touch with me, because this is still a work in progress. But we'll do quarterly behind the scenes topics. You'll have access to all of our leaders with the opportunity to ask us questions or give us suggestions. And we do anticipate having some land-based opportunities in conjunction with some of our sailing opportunities that our members will get the first look at and the first opportunity to register for.
Awesome. Thank you, Zach. The next question is regarding from Julie, I believe. What is the minimum investment? Please explain.
Yeah, the minimum investment through the Vicinity Capital offer page is 2,500, and that's to come in as at the deckhand level. And excuse me, as I was mentioning before, there are awesome perks and benefits that are included with being a deckhand, and including having your name, your family's name represented on the ship all the time. And for us, participating in the crowd, there is no investment that's too small. Everything helps us reach our total. We've surpassed the $3 million threshold now. So we still have some work to do, but we're real excited about the opportunities that we've been uncovering. And again, every little bit helps. And you want to have if you have experience with the ship or even with Windjammer Barefoot Culture, you want to have your name on the ship. You don't want to hop on with some old salts for your reunion cruise and their name be in there and your name not be in there, because FOMO is a mofo, as I said. I hope no one's offended by that, by the way.
Someone, Renee, asked if we could put the contact slide back up, so I'm going to leave this here for now. You can screenshot it, or I can also copy paste it into the chat once it's hidden. And then this is more for you, Josh. Colette says that Vicinity does not allow non-US citizens to invest and asks for a US SIN number. And to that, sorry, there's a host and panelist chat where Josh said to please reach out to him via email for Colette. But Vicinity will definitely work with you and talk you through all of your questions, all of the nitty-gritty financial questions and such.
Yes. Hey, Colette, you can see my email address right there on screen, josh@vicinitycapital.com. So we are set up to accept investments. Primarily, we're registered with the SEC, which follows all US guidelines, but we believe that there shouldn't be an issue with you investing. So reach out to me and let's just talk and come up with the right way.
Thanks, Josh.
Cool.
Okay, any other questions? I will circle back. Heather had written, I was late to this meeting. Will the recording of it be available? Yes, it will.
Absolutely. Or Heather, feel free to reach out with any questions. We're happy to talk no matter what.
Yep. Don't be shy, everyone. This is your chance to have us, all of us, right here at your beck and call. Okay, we got a question oh, lots of questions. Thanks, everyone. Good job. Okay, first of all, in order, Wayne said, any rough idea of in-water and sailing dates? So yeah, as Zach had already mentioned, it's tough to tell with any restoration project. And because we don't want to cut corners and be completely compliant and really ensure that the Mandalay can sail another 40 years and more, we're looking at 15 to 18 months. But as soon as we have a more clear in-water date, which will be easier for us to tell in the next few stages of restoration, we will start pre-booking and we will definitely disseminate all of that information to you.
Yep. And the second part of that question was about the other destinations. So we go from the, from the things that people are used to, the old Windjammer routes in the Virgin Islands and St. Martin and the French West Indies. We're going to be back in the Bahamas, but we are also working very hard to be prepared for new markets. Right now, we are setting out a schedule of port cities to visit when we are allowed to visit Cuba freely. So we're setting up the infrastructure for Cuba tours. And we're going to be back into the other side, the western side of the Caribbean, from Panama to the Yucatan. So pretty much the entire Caribbean basin plus the Bahamas.
Thanks, Charles. Renee asked, will you be conducting future meetings? So in terms of webinars of this format, the short answer is yes, there will be more meetings and there will be more opportunities to connect with us. However, I'm going to say that most likely this will be the last webinar of this format for this investment opportunity, but perhaps there will be one more. Regardless, for members and for Old Salts and anyone interested, there will be further opportunities. They'll just be a bit different from this one. And then Erica said, and I'm not sure who, I guess this can go to anyone who wants to answer it, but I'm not in the position to invest today, but will there be another investment call in about 2 years?
Probably not. Yeah.
So one of the things that's unique about this investment opportunity and opening it up for crowdfunding is this is really a chance to get in at the ground floor and help us build that foundation for Old Salts, for the community, and anyone else that's interested that recognizes this opportunity. Of course, we will be hopefully profitable very soon and also using other methods and things. But I do implore you, if there's any way, that this is probably the only window that we know of right now for open crowdfunding investments. Okay. Julie said, can you put the slide back up that ran the numbers? Yes. 1 minute, Julie. And again, this is one simulation, but
Just a reminder too, this will be available online, so you can go back and check it out and dig in a little bit deeper as well. Also, our offer page on Vicinity Capital has significantly more information too, if you haven't checked that out yet as well.
Wayne has also asked, when will the investment window close?
I think there's roughly 60 more days left, and we had an extension. This will be the last extension, so when it closes in 60 days, it'll be closed.
Alrighty, great questions. Does anyone else have anything burning on their mind that they'd like to ask? Or if you'd like to see any of the slides again, it will be available and you will receive a follow-up email as well. So if you reach out to Zach, he'll be happy to share the PDF too.
And for anybody that's interested in reviewing this further, most of this information, if not all of it, is on their page, the Windjammer page on vicinitycapital.com. So if you go there, you can review the page. You can also register to become a user and track additional updates, as well as any additional events that may be there in the future. So I'd encourage you to check it out there. And certainly that's also the easy place to invest if you have decided that you want to participate.
Yep, this is the page. You can find us pretty easily on just vicinitycapital.com, and there's a ton of information here, as well as a review of the different investment tiers and summary. Alrighty then. We'll give it a little bit longer, but we've probably covered some really good ground. Hopefully we've been able to answer all of your questions. And again, if you want to know any more, we are here, so don't hesitate to reach out.
Yes,
Twizzle
I
time
will.
soon.
I love that.
Yeah, we are so, so excited to be part of this, and we hope that as many of you as possible can be part of it with us. It's really,
The question on, there was a question about our primary competitors. I
oh
think
yeah,
the
I
primary
see that now.
competitor is basically any small operation worldwide that gives you a strong experience, whether it's a safari or a trip, on a traditional ship in Indonesia. I think those are our competitors because our audience is experiential. They have a zest for life, or they desire to become modern day pirates, or they just enjoy some of the simpler pleasures of the places that they're visiting. Um, so those are the competitors that we see because of the unique culture of Windjammer. And of course, in general, people can take any cruise product that they want. But I think there's a big differential in the way that Windjammer operates. And so it allows us to be generous, I guess, towards anyone else out there, especially smaller cruise ship companies that do sailing cruises.
Great point. Thanks, Charles. Well, yes, everyone, thank you so much again for coming. We really, really appreciate you taking the time to join. We will have this available online and we will follow up via email. If you haven't already, you can sign up for our mailing list on our website. That way, whether you're ready or not for investment right now, you can still stay in the loop. And of course, follow us on socials. And yeah, we really, really appreciate you and hope you have a good day.